a common language, a common vocabulary. So we use the language of Charting the Life course to help build that common vocabulary, common understanding. You notice that in Charting the Life course, we use a lot of icons so that the information is user-friendly to people with all abilities and all life stages. What we want is for families and people with lived experience to use Charting the Life course to identify what is a good life for them and what will be helpful. We want professionals to use that information that families share to complete their work and their compliance work, putting that information where it needs to be to authorize services and be in compliance with rule and regulations. And we want professionals to use the language when they have conversations with people and families. What we don't want is people to say, oh my gosh, here's another piece of paper I got to fill out, or that families share it, but we don't use it. So Charting the Life course is about having different conversations. I know that as professionals, you have paper to complete. I worked for 36 years for the Cuyahoga County Board. I worked as an SSA. I worked in a variety of roles. I know all about the paperwork, but how you get the information for the paperwork is what you have control over. And it's really about having conversations. It's also a different way of thinking. We want to encourage people to have high expectations. So we don't want to use phrases like, yes, but, or you can't. And we also understand the importance of having lots of life experiences to move towards that life that people value. We also know, just as you and I know, we need lots of different kinds of support in our life. So this is not just about tools, and it's not a program. So I know people have said to me, well, we use person-centered thinking, so we can't use Charting the Life course. It's not a program. They're a group of resources that you can use when you feel they will be helpful. And it can be used with anyone, regardless of age or ability. For 45 years, I was a licensed speech language pathologist. And in my 45 years of supporting people, I never met anyone who did not tell us what they liked, what they didn't like, what made a good day, what made a bad day, what they wanted and what they didn't want. Never. And as I shared yesterday, having worked in Cuyahoga County, I also worked in Cuyahoga County when we had 3 state institutions and eventually closed 2. And so I worked with a variety of people and never met anyone who couldn't tell us through their words or actions what a good life was and what they wanted to avoid. So there are no yes buts in Charting the Life course. Yes, but I work with people who don't use words. Yes, but I work with people who are involved with the justice system. Yes, but I work with people with dual diagnosis. Yes, but I work with babies. There are no yes buts. We gather the information from the person, their words or actions, and the people who know them well, family, staff. Our why in Charting the Life course, why we do this is because we believe that all people have the right to live, love, work, play, pursue, learn and pursue their life aspirations in the community. For those of you that know anything about law, this was in the Rehab Act. It's almost 50 years old. So this is nothing new or striking or on the cutting edge. It's 50 years old, older than a lot of you on this call. Our what we do to support our why is what we do is we believe that this is for all people. So we'll talk about how you can use the domains across the lifespan with everyone. We also, by using some of the tools and resources for the domains, we honor and respect the family system and the family perspective, as well as the perspective of the person. We also, when we look at the domains, understand and see the importance of using those domains to identify how it can inform a trajectory, not only for a good life, but for life experiences that have occurred and need to occur. And we also identify the importance of having and achieving life outcomes. The domains give us a holistic approach to look at life, and it also helps us support those 3 buckets of need, which some of you may have learned about in other presentations. So I love to share this slide about Chris Nikic. If you don't know Chris, he's from Florida. He is the first person with Down syndrome to compete in and complete the Ironman competition. But what I really love about Chris's story is that his family told him, it's important for you to write down your dreams. And not only did he write his life dreams down, but when he was preparing for the competing in the Ironman, and I think he competed last November 2020 in Florida. He also had a whiteboard in his house where he actually wrote his goals for every day to prepare for the Ironman. And it just shows us the importance of people writing their vision and dreams in a way they understand. And that is also part of the settings rule, that people need to understand their plan. So you see on the left, Chris wrote his dreams to buy his own car, buy his own house, get a smoking hot blonde wife from Minnesota, have his own money to take care of his family, and become a famous public speaker. You and I know from all of the psychology studies and sociology studies, you and I know that we are more likely to achieve our goals if we write them down. And I'll just ask you all to consider, do you have a to-do list? If you do, how effective is it to have that to-do list? And you write it, not someone else, and it makes sense to you. So as we look at the domains, please remember the life domains are not skill areas, okay? The life domains are interrelated aspects of our life that we all talk about. So, for example, when we meet someone, what is the first thing we ask them after we're introduced to them? We ask them, what do you do? Where do you live? And our conversation goes on and on. And that's the way we learn about people, by asking them about their lives.
Okay. Don't know anymore.
This
Did you
is,
do the manglers? Because we have to
could
start.
you
with
mute
that
yourself,
now, so.
please? Thank you. We also, when we talk about our own quality of life, we don't say, boy, I have a good quality of life because I have good grooming and hygiene skills. Or I have a good quality of life because I have money management skills. Or I weigh my ideal weight, or whatever. These are not skill areas. These are aspects of our life. If I ask you, do you have a good quality of life? I hope what you're going to tell me is, you know, I'm staying healthy and safe during this pandemic. I feel safe in my house and in going to work. I love my job. I feel very fulfilled. I love where I work. It's a great neighborhood. People are supportive. I not only do I work, but I also volunteer or advocate. I'm very active in my community. I vote. And I'm active in my spiritual community or my church or my temple or whatever. That's how we define our quality of life. Now, when we look at the life domains, which I know are part of the Ohio ISP process, what we're looking at is not necessarily skills, but what experiences and opportunities have people had throughout their life. So when I always, I love sharing information about the domains with families that have babies, because they're like, what do you mean I have to start thinking about employment? They're 1 year old or 2 years old. And when I share what that really means for early childhood, you know, it's really experiences and opportunities for the family, but also what are they doing? What experiences and opportunities are they providing to the child? So giving them choices, you know, do you want to wear this shirt or this shirt? Do we allow them to make mistakes? Think about the infamous shape sorter toy. Why do we give kids shape sorter toys? So they learn that the circle doesn't fit in the square, and then they can keep trying to see where is it going to fit. We support kids to make mistakes and learn problem solving. Giving them chores. You know, what can they do? Can they put their dirty clothes somewhere? Do they put their book back on the shelf? I'm not going to read them all, but I just want to show you how the domains really go across the life stages. We also need to remember that when you look, if you're working with school age kids, for example, we also need to look not only at what the domain, what experiences and opportunities are in that domain for that life stage, but also for the previous life stage. So has the child had these experiences? So you move to school age, do they have kids to spend time with? Are we teaching them social skills? And let's remember, you know, we even teach preschoolers social skills. What's the first thing we teach them? Say please, say thank you. We're teaching them social skills. And in school age, are we asking them, what do you want to be when you grow up? We don't ask that question of children because we tie them to that for the rest of their life, but to see where their interests are so we can provide them with experiences and opportunities. So I love talking about my niece. When she was little, she told me she wanted to be an astronaut. So what did I do? I took her to the Science Museum. I helped find books about astronauts and space. I took her to see the Cleveland Orchestra at Blossom when they played the piece, The Planets, and they had an astronomy professor, I had to stop and think, from Case Western Reserve, do some narration and so show slides while between the pieces of the music. And she was just like, oh my gosh. So we provide kids opportunities. But you also, if you're working with school age, you need to start looking at transition. So what opportunities are we giving them to work or volunteer? And then an adult, do they have a passion that they can develop a business? And do we talk about income and benefits? In social spirituality, in infancy, how are they bonding? Is the family doing social things and including the child? In early childhood, are they learning social skills? Let's go back to please and thank you. Are they learning turn taking? Wait. As a speech language pathologist, that was one of the early skills we taught people, the ability to wait. In school age, what opportunities do they have to be around other kids? And are we using assistive tech? I had one mother tell me that, you know, she was thinking about getting her young child a tablet, not because they needed it to communicate, not because they needed assistive tech, but it was a way to engage with other kids. I have this game you want to play. So it's not just thinking about it in a therapeutic way, but how can assistive tech facilitate relationships? Are we teaching them about sex and being safe and saying no? And then in transition, how are we helping them build and maintain relationships? Are we talking about social media and safety? And in adulthood, I also do interviews for National Core Indicators. And one of the saddest things that I learn is when I ask people, do you have a best friend? And they tell me yes. And I ask them, how do you keep in touch? And they tell me, I don't know. I went to school with them. I don't know where they are anymore. And these are people in their 20s and 30s. And I think, oh my goodness, they don't even know how to keep in touch with their friends. And I have friends from high school, and I'm not going to tell you how long ago that was, because this is a monumental reunion year. But anyway, how are we helping people stay connected? And are they learning about money and social life? And then when we talk about community living, are we helping? Are we structuring the home? I know when we were growing up, we looked at what does the house look like? Can Nick get around in the house? Can we get the wheelchair into places in the house? That was important. Looking at a good school district. I remember we moved because the school district Nick was going to was not very good, and I won't mention it, but we moved, and what an impact that made on Jim and my life, because we had friends, we were used to going to that school. For school age, think about decorating their room, their personal space. Can they make it their own? Are they using a carpool so they get to know other people? And I'm not saying this is for everybody. These are considerations. And as you're having those conversations with families, things to consider. And then adulthood, where do they want to live? What does it look like? I asked one woman who is going to move out of an intermediate care facility, what will it look like? What do you want your house or where you live to look like? And she said, I want it to be pretty. I said, what is pretty? And she said, my favorite colors are brown and white, so I want it to be brown and white. But are we asking people that? Are we helping them think about that? Are we teaching them about expenses? And are we helping them have a valued role in the community? And I'm going to stop talking and let Linda proceed.
Hi, okay, so early childhood. So for healthy living, you want to make sure that they have access to medical and health professionals with experience in caring for their unique needs. Pediatrician who understands their diagnosis and willing to refer to specialists can be particularly important. There are also developmental pediatricians who focus on the developmental, behavioral, and learning issues from infancy to childhood, and they can be very beneficial. Another thing is to allow families to go with their gut feeling. If they're working with a professional and something doesn't feel right, it's okay to stop and reassess. Accessing early childhood intervention through your school district is also really important. And then see if they qualify for disability services, if you can apply for SSI, Medicaid, special health care needs, and work with the Division of Developmental Disabilities. School age, introducing child's needs to the administration and staff is so important. And a great tool for this is the one-page profile. You can get a sample of it on lifecoursetools.com. There's a tab called One-Page Profiles in Education, so you can use that as a template. Help the child understand and communicate their needs and abilities. Their abilities are just as important as their needs. Understanding nutrition, what fuels the body, not just food, but sleep and exercise. Getting exercise is also at this age a great way to get them involved in organized sports, and that can be either team or individual. You know, your karate and taekwondo, those are so popular now. Ice skating at local rinks is a great way to get their body moving. And if they have sensory needs, that was a really great sport for my son. Another thing is local rinks are really community-based, and they have a lot of community activities. If you go to Learn to Skate program and you do it for one session, another session, you'll see the same parents, the same staff, you get to know each other, the parents chat. Here in Columbus, we have a Columbus Blue Jackets special needs hockey team, and you can enroll at age 4, and the oldest member of the team right now is 32. And they meet every Saturday with Learn to Skate, and then they have an actual hockey team that plays, and it's great. And then technology is also good at this age to start introducing them to it and what apps they can use at this age, and learn on the iPad that way as well, because they'll be using it as they get older. Okay, healthy living transition. So you want to seek out practitioners that focus on adults because their needs will be different. Help them understand the process of adult care. And what's so nice with COVID-19 is telemed appointments. That's just common now, which is wonderful. You want to make sure they understand how Medicaid and health insurance works. It's a good time to talk about reproductive health, birth control. Something else is you want to make sure they have a trusted adult in their life that they can talk about different changes going on in their life. And that doesn't have to be a parent. It could be an aunt, an uncle, a friend of the family. And also during the transition phase is the time to replace fitness and nutrition therapies with regular physical activities. Everyone knows the 10,000 steps a day. It's a great goal at any age, but putting that out there, when you have a goal to work towards, it's always much more motivating. There's all kinds of personal and affordable fitness devices and apps you can use. Another great thing in the community is either community health centers or gym memberships. And if they are students, they're usually student discounts. Another good thing about going to the gym is it's usually always a positive environment. I'm sure we've all belonged to the gym before. The people when you walk in are so positive and happy. You meet the same people, you go to the same group fitness class, whatever it be, and that's your own little community right there. Okay, moving on to the next one, adulthood, health insurance. Find out if they can get their own health insurance coverage, so important. For things like medication supports, regular checkups, you can have them use technology to keep up with their medications and their regular checkups. Most facilities now have an online chart type of system where you can make appointments, communicate with your physicians, communicate with the nurses, the OTs, the PTs, and that's great. So encourage them to do that. Keep that communication going. Again, keep reproductive health in the forefront and make sure they know their disability and diagnosis specific information. That's going to be very important. And again, continue to use telemedicine appointments. All right, safety and security. So for early childhood, you can use assistive technology to keep track of them if they're prone to wandering. Another thing that's important to teach them at this age is to say no. And you want to teach them to say no by being assertive and role playing. What does saying no look like? Teach them to tell someone if they're uncomfortable or being abused. Again, role playing is really great for that. You want to make sure you have safe, reliable childcare, child-proof the home, and learn who to trust and how to be safe. School age. What to do if bullied or victimized? Who do they tell? What if the bully is their friend? I'm just going to give you a short story on this. When my son was in kindergarten, he was coming home after school with a different Matchbox car every day. And he was so happy. He said, look, Christian gave me this Matchbox car. Look, Matt gave me this. Wow. Oh my gosh, you're making such good friends on the bus and you're just in kindergarten. And then he came into our room one day and said, Mom and Dad, what does blank mean? And our jaws just about dropped. And well, where did you learn that? He said, well, on the school bus, you know, Christian and Matt, they all put their backpacks on me. I get on, they tell me to get on the floor. They cover me with their backpacks and then they tell me to jump up and shout this word. And then I get a Matchbox car. So what does, but they're, and you know, and then we say, oh, that's not right, but they're my friend, Mom. So what do you do if they're being victimized or bullied, but they're also their friend? So that's a fine line, but you want to teach that at an early age. Stranger danger, that's important. Who can they trust? Teach your child how to appropriately reach out for help. Family password. I've heard that used over and over again. Someone pulls up, you see this in different videos, and the child asks, what's the password? And the person can't produce the right word, and it saves them. So practice different scenarios. When to call 911. If you call 911, what do you say? I would role play it with my kids. You know, this is 911. What's your emergency? This is my name. This is my address. Make sure it can roll off their tongues. When to call a relative or a neighbor for help. And when to leave the house. When we're not going to call anybody, we're just going to leave. Okay, moving on to transition. Now's the time to focus on the skills they can learn and practice to prepare to be their own person. Personal safety, there are personal safety training classes in person or online, and those are really helpful. Sometimes your town Parks and Rec will offer them. Want to make sure they know how to call for help at home or in the community. Interactions with law enforcement, both ways. If they're pulled over, how do you interact? Another way to engage is also to attend town meetings, your local school board, somebody that's running for office, and then to vote. In our town, we have something called a leadership program, and anyone can do it. It's a way to encourage citizens, residents to work with your local law enforcement, and they teach you about the community, how the municipal center runs, and then there's a whole week where you work with police officers and you get to ride in their cars and you go on calls with them. So it's really beneficial. Again, it works both ways, and you just have to sign up for that program. So check your local town and see if they offer something like that. Legal and financial support. Now's a good time for them to make supported decisions, introducing them how to do it on their own, but make sure they've got some support. And now's the time to look into a power of attorney or guardianship. Continue to explore education, community colleges, various technical schools, employment, part-time, whatever it may be. JP Morgan Chase here in Columbus has an internship program. It's called Autism at Work. So explore those in your area. Also now is the time to learn about money management. You can have a limited or a joint bank account. Teach them how to pay bills online. Bring them into the local bank. How do you interact with the teller? Just make a deposit using the deposit slip. And then also your integrated support options. And there's a really good tool called the Integrated Star on lifecoursetools.com. Moving into adulthood, the supports to keep them safe. Do they understand who they should and should not be letting into their home? Another good tool is technology, security system, remote monitoring. They can even use it from your phone. You can monitor your house when you're not home. You can have somebody else, a family member, can monitor them. What to do if they're abused. Abuse can look different in adulthood compared to childhood. Again, who's their trusted person contact? They could have one for personal needs and one for financial needs. Supported decision-making, continue to reinforce, encourage independent decisions, and use resources. Have them check things by using their local resources, library, Google. And also what is going to be important is sort of your income and expenses. Use technology. There's all kinds of apps out there, and also different sites. Mint.com is great. You can pay bills on there. You can input the income they have. They can see their income and expenses. So all that to help them get, help launch them into adulthood. Advocacy and engagement. For early childhood, As a parent, you want to make sure you're recognized by others as the expert on your child and their needs. Supporting families, seek out supports that are available to help the family. Civic engagement, follow rules at home, make sure they have responsibilities, clean up their toys, bedroom, make the bed, help set dinner table. Learn rules in the community, go to the library, the town pool, the grocery store. When you vote, take them with you. If your employer has take your son or daughter to work day, take them. We took our kids at a very young age, and it was really beneficial. School age. Groups have the parents think about joining the PTA. There's also Facebook groups that are disability specific. Those can be really helpful. As you're in school age, if your child or client has an IEP or 504, make sure that the student's vision is included. And you can do this by two ways. You can, what I call, give them a seat at the table, and that can be either in person. My son came at a very young age, and sometimes it can change the way the people in the room talk about your child when your child is there. When they're young, they're not going to say very much, but their presence speaks volumes. If they're not comfortable in person, you could always have them come at the beginning of the meeting, introduce them, George, or whatever your child's name is, introduce them, have them just say one or two things, or just introduce them and then have them exit. Or you could have the child do a quick video or a one-page profile with a picture. Again, that's on lifecoursetools.com. That can be very beneficial. Okay, transition. It's important to help them find ways to be valued across the different settings. You want to look for opportunities for choices, learning, community connections, responsibility, and advocacy. We want to teach them to share their goals, their hopes and dreams at educational and other support meetings. And the trajectory is a great tool for this, again, on lifecoursetools.com. Self-advocacy groups are a great way to keep them advocating for themselves, again, in person or online. Continue to make choices and decisions about life with support from family, teachers, and others in their life. And then the balance between what's important to them and important for them. It may be important to them to talk to their sister daily, but it may also be important for them to have their weighted vest every day for at least 20 minutes. Make sure they know how to express accommodations and that they express themselves as the expert of themselves with confidence. Again, controlling money, manage their services and support, and you can use various applications or websites for that. And make sure that families connect to others with similar experiences. Adulthood. You want to make sure that they lead the team by sharing their vision, goals, and life plan. Again, lifecoursetools.com has great tools on there for that. Make sure they vote. They're old enough now. Another thing they can do in addition to voting is usually the voting places are always looking for volunteers. So on voting day, they can volunteer. They can also get involved in local campaigns. Make sure they continue advocacy group membership, either in person or on Facebook, and that they continue to be an expert on themselves with confidence. If they have questions or need clarification, have them reach out to their support team and continue to be an expert on themselves. And then make sure they know how to find and ask for help.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you so much. So I hope what you have seen is that the life domains are really important to consider across the lifespan, that we did not just share a checklist with you. What we shared were things to consider, experiences and opportunities, both for the person, but also for the family. So these are things that you can use to facilitate your conversation with people. What is their experience? What opportunities do they have to be with others? Have you considered teaching them about what do they know about? And it helps us, and it helps the person and the family and the team identify possible areas to develop skills, but also areas of support. So we don't want to just be deficit focused. They can't, but we want to be support based. How can we help make sure they are able to do all of these things? We sent you the link to the Charting the Life Course Experiences and Questions booklet. You can also go to lifecoursetools.com and download it. It is free. What we like about this resource is that you can open it and there are 2-page spreads for each life domain. And it gives you considerations from prenatal and infancy through aging. So this can help you as a professional facilitate conversations. What should I be asking them about, talking to them about, coaching them to consider opportunities and experiences, identifying supports they might need. And again, you always look at the current life stage. So if you're working in transition, you would look at the transition life stage, but you also want to look at the stage before. Did they consider all these things? And you want to look at the next life stage. How can we prepare for adulthood? How can you support your loved one as they move into adulthood? And we call this anticipatory guidance. You and I in our life do not start thinking about retirement at 62 or 65. We might have started thinking about it when we got our first full-time job. Is this Social Security? Is this OPERS? What is my retirement going to look like? Do I need to do some other things? And we want to help families anticipate what's going to happen next so they can be better prepared. And also the adult, the youth or the adult. What do you need to start getting ready for? Also, on lifecoursetools.com, again, are these quick guides, or we call them 4-pagers. I love to share these with families. Please, please, please realize that as we're talking about these resources, we're not just saying you use them as professionals, but please empower and support people with lived experience and families to have these resources so that they can think about these things, not at a team meeting, but in their own comfort, space, and time. And just think about if you had to sit with your physician's, dentist, gynecologist, spiritual leader, your best friend, and talk about the life that you want. You probably would be like, I don't feel real comfortable. Why are all these people here? So we want to recognize that this can happen outside of a meeting, because most of us do not sit down with a team and talk about our life. We think about it in our own comfort level, in our own space, in our own time frame. So empower people, give them the resources. And some of this should never occur in a team meeting. We want to be respectful of people and make sure they have the opportunity and the control over the conversation and what is shared. These 4-pagers are great because this is the inside of the 4-pager for transition to adulthood. You can give this to families who have kids 14 and up, or even younger, 13, whatever, but it goes through each of the 6 domains and gives them things to consider. So again, we're building common knowledge, we're empowering people to use and understand the vocabulary that we're going to use. And also there is a section for services and support. So what can you think about? Where might there be some other services and supports? And also just as important, because one of our core principles is the person in the context of their family. So you see a little section about what should the family unit be thinking about. A lot of people, I know for me, when I would ask people, what's your outcome, what's your goal? A lot of times they gave me system goals. I want to be independent. I want to live in the community. I want to work in the community, as opposed to where. And so helping people broaden their scope of what an outcome or a goal can be, that it's not about services. The services help you get there, but what kind of life do you want? And so this vision tool, there's two. One is from the person's perspective, or the family can fill it out. And I encourage youth and adults to fill it out, but I also encourage family to fill it out. So we can look at what is your perspective, what is their perspective, where are the overlap areas, the easy areas to address, where might we have to have more conversations. And it is a very powerful tool for people to think and write things down. When I've worked with people with lived experience and families, they tell me they feel power in being able to write down what they're thinking about. So the first column, again, has the icon of the 6 domains, the person in the context of family and integrated supports. The second column gives a short description, so everybody knows what this means. And the third column is where people can actually write their thoughts. The fourth column is priority, and I don't worry so much about that. And people will fill that out in a variety of ways. I've also had families say to me, I don't want to fill that out. I just want to think about this area right now. I don't want to prioritize. That's too much stress. So remember, the tool is for them. It's to help them organize and then share that information with you, so that as a professional, so you can help identify possible supports. Here's an example from a family perspective. And again, as many people, a staff member can fill it out. What's their perspective? It doesn't matter. We value perspectives. And it's a pretty general one, written from mom and dad's perspective. So again, we want to hear perspectives from everybody. We want to honor different perspectives. It helps us identify where we can move forward, where we need to clarify. Why is the domains, this concept of the domain, so important? Because when we help people consider the domains, it also helps us support them to identify the vision of what they want in their life and what they don't want. In other words, it helps them complete their trajectory. So if you are a planner, an SSA, EI, transition, you know that we do backwards planning. What is it that you want? What don't you want? Using the vision tool to help people think, or using the domains, helps identify. By looking at those past experiences and opportunities, we can also help them identify the past life experiences they had that helped them go or move towards their outcomes, but also maybe what hindered them. And then in the middle, what supports, or what do we need to do to help you move towards that outcome, and what do we make sure we don't do? We also shared this exploring life possibilities chart with you. Please notice that the top innovative life options is not filled out, and it shouldn't be filled out unless you are developing innovative options. The bottom are the traditional options. That may be what families ask you for. Tell me the group home. What are the sheltered, where are the day hab programs? Those are the traditional options. They've been around for decades. In the middle, we have things that are more creative. And at the top are things that haven't even been developed. In other words, we're pushing people to think about being innovative. If you have an older version or a version that looks different, please use this one. We leave innovative open because we want people to really push and think. I have seen charts that people have filled out where the innovative life options are things that are decades old. And I guess that's one of the barriers I have in my life, having worked in the field for over 45 years, is I can say, yeah, we talked, that's from the 1990s, that's from the 1980s, that's from 1960. It is no longer innovative, it is traditional. So we have one final poll. We've given you resources. And what we'd like to know is, how do you think you can use these? Are you going to use that booklet to guide your conversations? Are you going to use the vision tool to record your conversations with people and then give it to them to think about at a later time? Are you going to give a quick guide to somebody or a family? Are you going to give the vision tool to the person or the family with some explanation? Please don't just give them paper. And oh, awesome, awesome, awesome. Oh, this is awesome. Keep going. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So I hope, our hope was that you would get some clear information about what the domains mean, resources that you could use. We have a couple of events coming up. On September 30th, we're going to have a 3-hour training for charting the life course and person-centered approaches for anyone. On the 27th of October, we have a community of practice meeting, and that's where we're going to ask people to share what they do, how they've integrated charting the life course in their work, and the impact it's made on life, on their life, people's lives and the families. And then on December 9th, we're going to have another live event. So we hope you sign up for Family Resource Network of Ohio. I see, oh, this is awesome, that a lot of you are going to use the booklet, the vision tool. Oh, awesome. Almost equal across all the resources. So we can't wait to hear the impact of you using those resources. We have mentioned lifecoursetools.com many times. And we also want to thank our partners in this endeavor, and thank you for your attention. And you will be getting a post survey, which we hope you will fill out. It really helps us as we plan and move forward. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your participation. And thank you for thinking about how you can empower and support people with lived experience and families using the life domains. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much. And I want to read the chats and see if we missed anything. Okay. Okay. Nice, 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 nice. Okay.
Thank you, Barb.
Oh, thank you. Who was that?
Ann Thomas.
Ann, how are you, dear?
I'm blessed. I get to see you today.
Oh, thank you, Ann. You're such a sweetheart. I turned off the pictures of people so I could see my screen, and so I didn't see that you were on. I apologize. Good to see you. Thank you for saying hi.
Great job. Keep it
Oh,
up.
Thank you, Ann. You're sweet.
Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Ann. You too. Appreciate
Can
it.
you text me the dates or send me an email?
You know what, Ann? I don't have your phone number, so the dates for some of the other stuff, you'll get emails, I think, from the Family Resource Network, yes?
I don't know.
Ann, can you type your email address in the chat for me, and then I'll make sure you're in there.
I don't know how to do that.
Okay.
Oh,
Do you
well,
mind telling us?
yeah.
It's Carolina Thomas at embarkmail.com, and that's EMBAR Hughes and Queen mail.com.
Okay, thank you. I am just saving it. We'll actually message it to Barb, but that way I'll have it in my chat to save it and add it in.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
Okay,
Make sure
bye-bye,
you get
Ann.
it.
See ya.
See ya. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Does anybody else have questions? I see we have a few people left here.
I'm gonna write Ann's. I think I have Ann's email because we're both on the board of OSDA, but I don't know that. So let me write it
Okie
down.
dokie.
Embark.
No worries. I figured I would get this chat at the end. I usually do, so.
Oh, okay. Okay. The post survey will be mailed to you, emailed to you. So you could fill it and
Yes.
then that's it. So thank you, Katie. Anybody else have questions? Thanks, Katie. Okay. Thanks, Tracy.
All right.
Thank you,
Linda,
Tracy.
Thank you
Oh,
both.
Linda, awesome, Linda, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Really,
Thank you.
absolutely wonderful, both of you. Linda, you were so natural. You did such a good job.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Barb.
Yes.
Thanks for all your help too along the way. I appreciate it.
oh, you did it. It was
Yes.
awesome. It was
Thank you.
awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have
All right,
a-
everybody, have a great weekend.
You too.
All right,
thanks.
take care.
All
Thank
right.
you all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Tracy, anything else? Or are we good?
No, wonderful job. Thank you.
Have a good weekend. Enjoy. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.